Hey, friends. So, I was reminded today in the last few days, um, especially since the US election, that we're all kind of going through all of this upheaval and uncertainty in our own different ways. And there were a couple of things that I thought I would bring to your attention. So, anything that is considered a trauma or a huge disappointment or some sort of thing that kind of throws off your natural balance has different ways of responding to it. One of those things, and something that I've noticed in myself recently that is a trauma response, is watching old TV shows over and over again. And for me, full disclosure, I am addicted to Murder She Wrote, which is hilarious to most people. Um, when I was little, my parents got divorced, and my mother and I moved in with my grandmother. And Sunday night TV, we would watch Murder She Wrote every Sunday. That was kind of our thing. And that was kind of in the good, um, that was a good time for us. That was our bonding. And it stuck with me. I learned to love that Jessica Fletcher was a great female role model. She was sometimes condescended to or dismissed by a lot of men in law enforcement, but she was always strong and polite but pushed back, and she always saved the day where other people couldn't. She was actually a great feminist role model way before I knew what feminism was. And so that ended up being a really good comfort to me when my parents had gotten divorced and everything was in upheaval. And it's kind of funny because over the course of my life, I have always kind of gone back to that in times of uncertainty or intense stress. Since I've been working as the coordinator for the JCERT team, it has been basically anti-Semitism 24/7. That's my job. Trauma-informed care, teaching other people how to respond to these things and how to protect yourself and move forward. And I love the work. I am very sad that it is a thing that is needed, but I feel very honored to be able to do it. And what I have found is over the past 9, 10, 11 months, basically most of 2024, that I am watching Murder, She Wrote fairly constantly. There is a Roku channel that is the Murder, She Wrote channel. It does all 12 seasons plus 4 movies and then starts over. So I'm to the point where during a phone call that I just got off of, the television was on but muted, and right as I was getting off the phone, even before I turned the mute off, I was able to quote along with something that was happening, which means that I'm 100% an addict of Murder, She Wrote. I know people who watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There was a guy in college who did the same thing with Matlock. He scheduled his classes around it. But, it's a trauma response. It's being able to have something that makes sense and is going to end up okay. And it's comforting because there's none of that thriller tension or even comedic tension that you just don't know how it's going to end up. It is something predictable that you can find joy in and pay attention when you want to. So I encourage all of you to find something like that. If you already have something like that, I would be fascinated to learn what that is for you so that I can maybe suggest that to my responders as well as something else to put in their toolbox. The other thing, shifting gears a little bit, that I wanted to chat about today is ways that you can help other people. The more people I talk to, the more I realize that now more than absolutely ever, we need to build connections to stay resilient and to keep optimism and hope alive at a time where it seems like the darkness is winning. And this is not just a political thing. Please don't think that. This is any time that we're going through something traumatic, something upsetting. Maybe it's the loss of a job, the loss of a person, just something that's deeply troubling. Certainly a lot of people are feeling this way because of US politics right now, but it's definitely not the only application. So I want to suggest to you 3 questions that you can ask someone. It can be in just, a family conversation, a spouse conversation, with a friend, with a stranger. And it's a good way to build a relationship really quickly and let the person know that they are important to you and that their feelings matter. Um, and that you're there to help if you can. So the first question, and my responders will laugh when they see this because I drilled this into them very much this past spring and summer, is how can I help? Just how can I help? Leave it open ended. They might, just start talking about stuff. They might say, I don't know, I'm fine. But whatever their answer is correct for them at that moment. And if you need to, dig deeper and say, how are you really? Because how are you is a question that at this point we all just say, oh, I'm fine. You're not fine. I mean, sometimes you are fine. George Carlin had a great bit years ago that was, um, sometimes I'm dandy, but sometimes I'm just fine. And one time he was fine and dandy at the same time, and nobody asked how he was. An oldie but a goodie. But how are you really digs deeper. It gets people to open up a little bit more. So that's the second question. First one, how can I help? The second one is, how are you really? Get them to open up a little bit. And then a third question that was exceptionally helpful in my interpersonal relationships, especially in my marriage, is, are you looking for someone to listen, or are you looking for someone to help with solutions? Because sometimes people just want to rant. Sometimes getting those things out and just letting somebody empty their cup is the best thing that you can do for them. Letting them have an outlet to get all of that out, even if it's a person that you disagree with, somebody who's spewing hate and nonsense, sometimes just letting them go until they're empty of that is exactly what they need. But sometimes they need help figuring out solutions. When you're first in a traumatic situation, or you're terrified, or you think someone's coming for you, or whatever the situation might be, your brain might stop. That's a trauma response too. And you might not be able to figure out what you need. So, how can I help might not be the right question, because somebody might not have any idea how to answer it, truly, because their brain has just stopped. But asking them if they just want someone to listen, or if they actually want someone who can help them figure out a solution, might be exactly what they need. And maybe you can start with something like, okay, well, do you have everything that you need at this moment? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Do you need medication? Are you worried about a pet, a loved one, your house, your car? What is it? Drill down to that. And then moving on to, okay, before bed tonight, is there something else that you need? Is there somebody that you need to call? Can I help you call them? Can I find you a phone so that you can call them? Those types of things. But starting with that question of, do you just want someone to listen? Do you just need to get it out? Or do you want me to help offer some solutions? Sometimes that's all it takes. And obviously all 3 of these questions, how can I help? How are you doing really? And are you looking for someone to listen, or are you looking for someone to help with solutions? All 3 of those questions can start great conversations. And if the person just isn't having any of it, it's okay too. They don't have to answer you. I mean, maybe being alone really is what they need. And maybe they can't even vocalize that. But those 3 questions are a great way to check in on people that you care about right now. And even somebody that, maybe in the grocery store looks like they're struggling. If you have the time and the interest, the ability, the capacity, ask them how they're doing really, and see how far it gets you. I hope that helps, friends. Hang in there. The work continues. As I say every time, choose optimism, choose to be happy, and choose joy, because perspective makes all the difference. And even when things look their darkest, there's still hope that we will find the light. And if we can't find it, we can be it. Okay. Hang in there, friends. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.